Moshpit Passion, you know, for the passion of music.
Herzlich willkommen hier bei Moshpit Passion auf YouTube. Ich bin der Kai und wie ihr sehen könnt, bin ich nicht alleine hier, nämlich mit mir dabei heute Jami von Code Orange und wir werden unter anderem über die neue Platte sprechen, welche jetzt in den nächsten Tagen rauskommt. Ich weiß, wenn ihr das Video seht, sagt ihr, hey, sieht ja ein bisschen sommerlich aus. Liegt daran, dass wir jetzt hier Juni haben, also 3 Monate vor der eigentlichen Veröffentlichung. Und ja, dem soweit, damit ihr Bescheid wisst, werde ich jetzt umswitchen ins Englische und wir werden so ein bisschen über das neue Album sprechen. So Jami, first thank you very much for having me here on your tour bus while you're on tour. Yeah, promoting a couple of new songs which you released, I think a week ago or something like that. And before we dig deeper into the new record, I want to talk about the Underneath record because it was my final, let me say, gatekeeper to become a fan of Code Orange. I was always listening to the music, all the records, even when you called yourself Code Orange Kids, so it's pretty long. Yeah, I'm following your career. And on March 13, it was a Friday, your new record came out. A couple days later, there was a whole shutdown around the world. And I remember you played also a show in front of nobody. It was planned, your record release show that you played with, yeah, it was packed crowd, but nobody was there. You put also the show up on YouTube. And for you, I personally think your record label put a lot of money into promotion, great music videos, everything was more or less, yeah, prepared for a new chapter, and then everything was crushing down more or less. And I want to ask you, from your point of view, about the last 2 years or 3 years, how it was for Code Orange. Like, hey, we have a brand new record, but after 3.5 years, more or less, we are now coming to Europe, for instance, to supporting a couple of songs, or in general, if you look out on your career, what happened? Maybe you want to explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hard period. We worked really hard on the record, and then it came out at a time that actually made a lot of sense for the record, like content-wise, which was kind of interesting and cool, and kind of like I saw as kind of like a light in everything. I thought it was like, it felt timely, which was cool. But obviously, yeah, it crushed all of our plans, and I think we kept on pretty well. We put together and self-produced 3 really cool live stream specials I'm proud of. But it's hard to hold people's attention, you know, throughout those. One of them was like for the record release. One of them was something that was more like an MTV Unplugged with like this kind of found footage horror kind of element. And then the third one, we really went all out and did this kind of immersive like projection live stream. And we ended up having played all the songs of the record. And so once that was done, we just felt it was time to move on. There was nothing really more to do. And we started cooking up what we have here. So we just kept on pushing forward, and there were personal difficulties for sure and hard times on the band, but it's just some woe is me bullshit. I mean, everybody was dealing with stuff, so it is what it is, you know. Let's just
what I found interesting is, since you named yourself Code Orange and not Code Orange Kids anymore, I saw that your lineup is constantly not changing, but there are more people becoming, I don't know, for instance, switching over, or for instance now Max is now official member. He was just, I guess, a live member or touring member. Would you also say this is a part of the DNA of Code Orange, or is it something natural that you say, hey, you are moving from drums to a front singer, yeah, we need something who is now handling drums? Is something happened organically, or would you say it's a part of the DNA of your band?
I think it's pretty natural. Like Dom helped us on Forever and even recorded stuff on Forever. And in the music videos for Forever, if you look closely, he performed with us, but we just glitch him in for like quick little seconds of time, so you can blink to find him. And then the bleeding in the Blur video, where he gets introduced to the band in the video, you know. So I like to make it part of like the thematic, you know, narrative of the band. But and then underneath, we didn't add anybody because he was already there. I could see if you're, I mean, we did and we didn't, you know. But I switched positions, obviously, and then yeah, this one we're adding people. So yeah, we just seem to keep growing and growing. But it's just like what the music facilitates, and you know, the reason Max was a touring member is because we just wanted to see if he would fit into our family properly, and we don't want to force anything upon him. He had his own band, and so we kind of figured out a cool way that fit within our little world to do that, where he kind of wore a mask, and now he's kind of breaking out of that, and it's pretty natural. It's just whatever the music facilitates. Me switching up front, I'm really happy with. It's kind of weird to even remember it any other way at this point. I think it's really helped improve the show. And it took me some time to get my bearings, but now I feel like I'm getting there, and it helps us connect with bigger crowds and allows us to do different things musically than what we would have done. So it feels pretty natural to us, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, now we come to your new record. It's called The Above. Until now, nothing officially is announced yet, because we talked before that the German promoter sent me the record and was like, yeah, it's coming out in September, but nothing else is published, like, for instance, the artwork or something like that. And what I found interesting is you got 14 tracks on the record, if it's right, or I don't know if it's like a bonus songs on there.
No, it's 14.
14 songs. And
just like underneath is 14.
It's also 14. Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely, you're right, sorry. And, but there's not, how do the standalone track, Out for Blood, that is not on the record?
Yeah, it doesn't, it was never part of the record, yeah.
It was just a standalone single, not like a teaser or something like that to promote, okay.
We actually did it with the intention of like doing a specific thing we had wanted to do, knowing that like aesthetically and sonically we were going to go a very different way for this, which is like, there's obviously a lot of melodic stuff on this record, but there's really no songs that sound like Out for Blood per se in terms of style. So stylistically, we kind of wanted to almost like create a little branch reality of like going to the end of a certain road. And I love the song, it's awesome. It even has like kind of tongue-in-cheek lyrics that like speak to that idea a little bit. But we kind of knew that one version of where we could go is not where we were going. So we thought it would be a cool way to, you know, we didn't maybe expect as big of a time gap between the things, but that's just like how it ended up happening. But yeah, no, the song was never intended for the record or to be part of the record.
Spit! Come on, you can do better than that! Fucking spit! Here we go! Final kiss! Final...
listened correct, there are many guest musicians on the record. For instance, also Billy Cogan, for instance.
He's on there.
He's on there. All right, because I was like, is it you or is it some kind of new style, new approach to your voice?
I can't sing like Billy Corgan. Apparently, I can sing like the King 810 brother, who actually, that dude's my boy. I love that guy. David Gunn.
Yeah.
Great guy. Awesome dude. But no, he's not on our album.
Okay, because I was like, oh, that's Daniel. And then I listened to another track where Billy was on and was like, no, that can't be true. Smashing Pumpkins on a Code Orange
Yeah,
track.
he's on there.
And then I was like, yeah, that's definitely him. You can't deny it, more or less. But
Definitely.
crazy. How did this collaboration came up, that he's also open to work with younger bands? Like, yeah, that could fit to my style of music, voice.
Yeah, we met just through mutual people, and he seemed to be into the band, so we linked up, you know, and it was awesome. It was a literal dream come true. We learned a ton from him. There's tons to learn from somebody like that. He's one of the last real living legends from an era of rock that we really idolize. So if you can't learn from somebody like that, then I mean, you're not a smart person, you know. So it was great, and it was a really great experience, honestly.
And yeah, also, if you would ask me, there are also bands who are promoting their music in these days and saying, yeah, the new record is always the best record. And I'm like, oh yeah, if a band is pushing a record like that, it's never their best record. But if you would ask me, for somebody who's listening to Code Orange and to the new records, it's definitely one of the best records which you ever released.
Thank you.
Seriously,
that means a lot to me.
It's mixed different styles. I mean, Code Orange, you can't put it into a corridor, you know. There are different styles, different influences, and it's all on that record. Always what you did before. And I think, I don't know if I'm right, that Reba is more singing than before on the record.
A little bit. I mean, I think we're both singing a lot. She definitely has some. I think the moment she's singing a lot on the other record, but the moments she has here, I think, are really awesome standout moments.
Yeah.
But no, I really do appreciate that. I actually haven't gotten the chance to talk to many people about the record at all, so I still have that feeling of like, I have no clue what anyone's going to think. I know it's a big swing. It's very different. Yeah. But I feel like everything we do is on there. You know, there is a lot of awesome hard stuff on there. Yeah. There's a lot of, you got to get out of here, Jeff. There's a lot of, you know, all of the different tools we have at our disposal are used. Yeah. So I'm proud of that. I feel like we found a cohesive way to do everything, and she's a huge part of that. And her moments on this are really amazing, of course.
This song is calling
Definitely one of my favorite tracks until now, because I listened to it 3-4 times. I got it yesterday because there was also, maybe that I was wrong, that you are Daniel Gunn with this style of voice. I was like, that's Daniel, this is hard spoken.
I can hear the similarities. I definitely wasn't necessarily going for him, but there's like this kind of like a little bit of a hip-hop-esque influence. I was kind of, for that song, kind of go for almost like a true crimey kind of narration kind of approach, you know? And we're using like these layered effects. Because I didn't want to I'm talking about the first song on our record, which is called Never Far Apart. And I didn't want to go into full like rapping territory or something, but I wanted it to have this almost like noirish feeling that juxtaposes with this like chorus that's really beautiful and melodic, and that I almost visualize as like something really dark and disgusting, and then something really beautiful and like flowery and almost like a musical, the chorus. And then it descends into psychotic madness.
Do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's definitely a crazy.
It's a crazy song. Yeah.
Definitely, and also like the contrast of it, like Mirror. Reba is singing that. It's like, I think also in the middle of the record, and then there's a different vibe going on. I mean, there's also your 2 new singles are on the more or less in the end part, but also more like rock songs, like regular structure, because Code Orange is what I call an asymmetric structure. You can't say it's an E part, B chorus. No, it's completely different. Every song is completely different.
This record we definitely played with. I mean, the first 2 songs have pretty wild structures, and then it kind of becomes, the structures become more contained, and then structurally, for the most part, the record does have a more concentrated, we're playing within those lines, but within those lines, we're trying to color it as differently as possible. So I think we're trying to rely less on spastic structures, which I do really like as well.
Yeah.
And we do it a little bit, like Theater of Cruelty has a totally chaotic structure, but every song on the record has some sort of hook.
Yeah.
There's not one song that doesn't have a hook, heavy or, melodic.
Yeah.
And that was something that we wanted to do. We thought that would be a cool challenge, and be like, okay, how can we innovate or attempt to, while playing with more of a typical structure per song, but still paint something beautiful in those lines. And that was the goal, so yeah.
Sure, and that's also what I like about the new record, is because if you do every song, like in Fear, for example, after 14 tracks, you would say, all right, I'll listen 14 times to a song like In Fear. It's getting boring, it's
I
the
agree,
same.
Yeah. I definitely get that, and I think the closest we get, there's like, even the 2 songs we've released so far are more red meat. They're a little more, especially Grooming My Replacement is more, concentrated, groovy, less chaotic, still chaotic, but in a different way, more live. And I think by the time you get to those on the record, that's what you want to feel. And then post that, the record almost, mirror, and some of these songs kind of show this beauty, and then things get kind of dark again. And then towards the end, like, something kind of beautiful happens. So I think it's a different structure for us,
I'm also always highly interested when it comes to the visual appearance, and when I saw your new merch designs and also pictures, it reminds me a little bit of 9 Inch Nails, the downward spiral, like this cream.
Well, that, I will say this, that, and people at the time will have seen this, that aesthetic that we've gone with thus far, I wouldn't say is like a smoke screen, but when you see what we're really going to come with aesthetically for the record, it's very different.
Okay.
That is kind of like, and now you've heard the record, you'll understand this. That is almost the parasitic, buggy thing that's kind of pulling at you throughout the record. But what a lot of the record is something more, it's almost like natural beauty with a tinge of like digital reality. It's like something more impressionistic, something more daylight even, than the kind of darkness. So that's in there, and we went with that first because it kind of made sense with those 2 songs. But when you see what we come with aesthetically for our music video and for everything we're going to present coming up here in the next couple months, it's a very different vibe for us. And I'm
Alright.
actually really excited about that. It's kind of like, we didn't want to give that all away yet.
Sure.
We're not really showing our cards yet on this day here on
Yeah.
June, whatever we are.
Yeah.
But by July, August, I think people will be like, whoa, that's, for Code Orange, that's something really different. And it's something,
Nice.
you know, I'll show you actually after, like some of the pictures and stuff if you want to see. Just so you could kind of
Yeah.
like, when you listen to it, it'll help you contextualize
Yeah.
stuff, for sure.
Oh, nice, man. And like I mentioned before, today is June. When you see the video, it's September.
Got some time, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And because your record is called The Above, I was like, all right, underneath, of course, the artwork is very dark. And above is for me like this is cream, how do you say, yellowish color is like connected with the skyline, like, you know.
I'm so, and I'll show you after.
Okay,
When you
yeah.
see it,
All right.
I'm so glad you say that.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to really get into that stuff soon.
Nice.
Like aesthetically, what I could say it's like the most akin to,
Yeah.
you know, just the movies and stuff that I was thinking of is like The Truman Show, or like even like Vanilla
Yeah.
Sky, or like,
Oh, yeah.
so that was a big inspiration to us aesthetically. Or like the beautiful kind of parts mixed with the melancholic parts of like a Requiem for a Dream, or the end of Dark City when they kind of leave and come to the, so that's kind of aesthetically where it's going. And I can't wait for people to see all that, because that's, to me, like one of the most fun parts about all this.
Yeah.
But right now, all people have seen is a piece of it. And on the
Yeah.
record, these two aesthetics are kind of fighting, like these two feelings. There's this kind of corrosive parasite. And even on the cover of the record, you see, you know, over the sea of Code Orange, there's a parasitic worm, and on the back half of the record is like the bug that it's attached to. It's the host. And then there's that, and there's kind of this evil, and it's fighting with almost this like natural beauty. And, you know, the natural beauty through a digital lens. There's like AI images of nature on screens, and then there's real images of us in, you know, in the real world, making our process. And it's like the art and the process and everything coming together.
Nice.
And like visually, I'm so excited for people to see like what we have, because I think it's going to be very different than what they're seeing now or what they think it's going to be.
What I can hear from your words, it's also like you're playing with contrasts.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And that was part of like the arc of, and you know, underneath and the above are obviously like brother sister records, you know, even to the idea that in there's the song Mirror. In some ways they're mirrors of each other. In some ways they are two sides of the same thin reflective line. And they both have 14 tracks. You know, underneath is more technological and metallic, and this is more, while still being chaotic at times, natural and open. And even in the way we structured the songs, even with the way we wanted to go record with Steve Albini, because who records more natural rock stuff than Steve Albini? But then we took it into our world and added our digital tinges to it. So that kind of the idea of people being able to see all of our stuff, you know, on the wall and look at it all together, all of our records and everything we've done since Underneath and before, kind of look at the whole art piece really excites me, because I think that anyone who cares to, you know, just witness that will enjoy the amount of care that was put into it.
Nice. I personally think that we close our interview because you said a lot of things, and until now nothing officially is announced. I'm also a fan of music, and I don't want, you know, want everything to know. So for viewers out there, thank you very much for watching. Jami, also thank you very much for your time for the interview. Wish you all the best and hope to see you maybe next year in Germany.
100%.
Again.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Don't forget to support Code Orange. Take down below in the comment section. I put the new record where you can order it down there. And also very important, support Code Orange in social media. So guys, thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye.
Moshpit passion, you know, for the passion of the music.